Hello, happy Tuesday. Today's topic is all about creating a course from the material you've worked so hard to put into your book. So, as you're coming on, whether you're watching live or catching the replay, make sure you say hello. And if you haven't been to a booklaunchers.tv live stream before, you should know there are prizes. So make sure you're chatting away in the comments. And if you're watching the replay, oh, Efren, today is not Kickstarter, my friend. Tomorrow, your client-only training is Kickstarter. So I do hope you can attend the Kickstarter client-only training. Today's live stream is all about turning your book into a course. I've got 5 tips, kind of random, not in a specific order for you, but it will help you if you are thinking about turning your book into any kind of course. So, so Efren, hopefully you can catch the Kickstarter session tomorrow. That's going to be awesome. We have a great special guest, but that is for our clients only. Bonnie, welcome from Dublin. Bill, hello from Bristol. And then we've got Stella from Manchester and Keisha from Jamaica. Ooh, we've got an international audience today. So welcome to everyone. All right. So as I mentioned at the start, we are talking about turning your book into a course. So I'm just going to dive right in. And like I said, I've got 5 kind of random tips for you. So I'm just going to check my notes. Okay. Yeah. So I'll refer to my notes here and there just so I have some structure. If you saw Shane's live 2 weeks ago, he created these beautiful slides for you. And then I was all mad because I'm like, Shane, you've raised the bar for my lives. But I'm still not doing slides for you guys today. Okay, so when you're thinking about turning your book into a course, the first thing to think about is the format, because for a lot of people, they're thinking online courses. And of course, that's a great way to have a course, is to have it online. You can reach a lot more people with an online course, but that is definitely not the only option. You can create, online, but you can deliver it live. So I'm actually doing this right now with Self-Publish and Succeed. We call it Self-Publish and Succeed Live. And I've essentially taken my book, Self-Publish and Succeed, the hashtag No Boring Books Way to write a book that sells, or that's set up to sell. Can't remember my precise subtitle at the moment. But I've taken that course and we have broken it up into a 12-week course that walks you through writing a book that has, a great hook. It's got your reader in mind and it's set up to achieve your marketing goals. And what we've done and why I've done it live is because the people in the class are going through and they're setting, it's kind of like an accountability group mixed in with some support. They get feedback. I ask them about their hook. I've asked them about the reader and I challenge them and make suggestions. And then they've formed their own little accountability group. So on the Saturdays that we don't meet, because we meet every Monday night, but then we have some Saturdays as well. And on the Saturdays that we don't meet, they're meeting together for, brainstorming, support, and further accountability. So that's one way. So it's all online. The people are all over North America that are participating, but it's live. So it's got live classes that everything goes online as a recorded content so they can access it later, but it's delivered online, but live. Of course, you can also do in person. You can also do a hybrid, which I did in my previous company before I had Book Launchers. I ran a training and education company for real estate investors. And I had a lot of different courses. We had live in-person events, we had online. And one of the formats that I actually enjoyed a lot was a hybrid to a live and online. And what it was there was the pre-recorded sessions. So that I believe it was a 6-week course essentially. And what happened is it still had a start date and an end date, but the courses would drip out. And so each week they would get a new course, a new module, I should say. And then every other week we had a group Q&A session. And then they also had 1 or 2 one-on-one calls to use throughout the class. So that's what I would call a hybrid. I wasn't delivering the content every week. That was already recorded. They had access. They were supposed to go through it. And then they brought their questions to me live. You can do in person. I know some of our authors, at least 1 or 2 of them that I can think of, They have done courses in person in their local market area. So people come every week for 10 weeks and they do this class. Of course, there's also just doing a weekend workshop. So those are all ways that you can offer a course from your book. And whether you're doing it live, in person, hybrid, you probably want to have supplementary materials, which we'll talk about in a little bit, but transcripts, workbooks, worksheets, those are some ideas for additional materials that you may want to include. You may also have checklists. You could have case studies. You could also have templates. Those are all things that could go along with your course. Great. Let's see who's hanging out now. We've got Quizmaster China in the house. Matoda, hopefully I'm saying that right, from New Mexico, I should say. So welcome. And let's see, who else? I think I've said hello to everybody else that's here, so that's great. So for those of you just joining in, we're talking about turning your book into a course. I've got 5 tips for you. I've just given you tip 1, which is that it can be many different formats. There isn't just one format of taking your book and turning it into a course. And then I'm going to dive into tip 2, and then I'm going to do some prizes. So if you haven't already said hello, now is a great time to do that. Okay, so next up, sorry, I'm just going to close that one little thing that's popping up. Okay, your course, tip 2, is that your course can cover the same material, as your book, because we're talking about turning your book into a course, but it really should have a different objective. And what I mean by that is a learning objective. So when somebody reads your book, you create it for consumption. Even if you have exercises in there, the reality is that as an author, your number one goal is to have somebody read your book, right? Start to finish. Most of the time. There are rare exceptions where somebody's like, oh, I just want this to be a reference, or I just want this to be, but the majority of us have written a book that we want them to read from start to finish. So sticking with Self-Publish and Succeed, because I'm in the middle of teaching the class for the second time right now. And, it's a great example of taking a book and turning it into the course. I've taken a lot of the material straight from the book, and it's become the course material that I'm teaching. But the difference is the way it's been broken up is not for consumption. It's for taking action. It's for application. And that's really what you want to consider. So with a course, the learning objective, you want to think about what the learning objective is. So it's still similar to your hook, right? At the end of the book, when you read Self-Publish and Succeed, you should be set up to write a book that's going to achieve your goals. So it's not just how to write a book. It's how to write a book that's going to grow your brand, grow your business, position you in the way that you want it to in order to get where you want to go, being an author. And so that's the objective. That's the hook. The objective for me in the class is to get that first draft written, get that material out of your head and onto the page. And so while, we're still doing work on that hook, we're still doing work on reader identification and tying the two together. We've talked about goals and objectives. The half of every class is dedicated to actually getting words down on the page, because the objective is at the end of this 12-week course, plus, they get some extra weeks at the end, we want them to be submitting their book for a content or a developmental edit. So the objective is slightly different. It still has the same hook. We're writing a book that's set up to sell, but we actually want that deliverable of that first draft of the book. So for some courses, you may find that you're including quizzes or other reading material or assignments. Like I said before, you may have tools like a workbook or worksheets or checklists. With my class, I did actually create a template. So it's a book template. So, it's got the first 20 pages, so to speak. Are you including the introduction? Are you including a preface or preface? Are you including a dedication? Those pieces. And then it's got chapter, it is a template, but it's got chapter objectives, kind of like chapter 1. Here's what you would do. Here's how you can structure it. Here's how you can open it. Chapter 2, chapter 3, and carries you through to the rest of the book, where then it covers the back matter. And so it has that as a template. But a lot of what this course is set up is to teach you what you're doing, or teach you and hold you accountable to follow through. So week 1, we're talking about, okay, who is your reader, right? And then their assignment was to go off and do reader research and then tell us about their reader the next week. And then we're starting to explore what makes them unique. What do people ask them questions about? What's their lens that they're going to layer onto their subject matter that's going to appeal to their reader? So that's the second, kind of piece that we covered. And then we started to work on, that hook. And then they had to come to us and tell us, what's your hook? How does it apply to your reader? What's that outcome of the outcome? And then build an outline. So it's been building. And now that we're halfway through the course, the weekly assignment is, okay, tell me how many words you're going to write. Tell me how many hours you're going to put towards writing between now and next Monday. So there's lots of ways to tackle it. It's going to be dependent on the material in your book, how you want to structure it. But keeping in mind that learning objective is, while it's the same content or similar content to what is in your book, you can use the same examples, the same explanations. It's how you're getting them to apply it that is really going to matter. And if you are live, by the way, you have the option of having people do small group work. You have the option of having them brainstorm together. You can also even have them practice. So one of the courses that I used to have, it wasn't turned from a book, but it was how to raise money. And because it was a real estate training company. And so we would actually pair people for sample fund pitches, essentially sample fundraising pitches. So we would have them teach them how to have these conversations. And then we would pair them up to practice and do a mock pitching session. So there's lots of options when you do have people live, or at least, whether it's physically in person or on Zoom, it gives you some more ways to help apply the information. All right, so I'm going to do a prize. Let's see what we've got David from Finger Lakes in New York, and then we've got Liz from San Diego. So hello. Okay, so I'm going to go. So if you are new, every Tuesday and Friday, we have videos. Every other Tuesday, it's a live stream. And when you comment the day a video comes out, whether it's the replay from today or one of our standard uploaded YouTube videos, if you comment the day a video is released, you get your name entered in to win. And we always kind of have standard prizes, and then sometimes we have special prizes. Right now, we have our standard prizes, which is our hashtag No Boring Books mug. Don't mind, I have a little picture that my son drew that I keep in there so that I can, if I need to smile, I can pull out my little picture. And that's our hashtag No Boring Books mug. And then we have our Oh So Soft journal right here. And then we also have copies of Self-Publish and Succeed, which I still have buried. I have a big box that I haven't opened of them down there. And then I have a copy there that I can't grab for you. But Self-Publish and Succeed is my book. And so you can also get a copy of that. So, and then all you have to do, Angela's here somewhere in the chat. Angela's hanging out. And if you win, she will give you instructions as to where to email her and send her your mailing address and your prize choice. If you are not in North America, we will just send you a book. We've run into all kinds of fun and festivities with giving people mugs and journals. And I think we had one mug that cost, $23 in duty. So that was exceeded the value of the mug by a long shot. So as much as we would love all of our international friends to have our swag, we'll send you a book. Okay, so I'm going to my random name picker, and I've got everybody's names in there. And so it's spinning around. And our first prize winner is Brian K. Morris, Rising Tide. It's been a while. I know he has definitely won swag, but I would say it's been years, or at least a year since Brian's won. So congratulations, Brian. Email Angela at team@booklaunchers.com and let her know what your choice of prize is. So congratulations. Okay, and I will do the other one right now, and then the rest of our prizes will be for you fabulous folks who are here with us live today. All right, next one is Easy Graphics. Woo, Andy. So I don't know if he's here today, but if he is, or if he's watching the replay, you know what to do. Email team@booklaunchers.com for your prize. Okay, so going back into our material for today, number 3, and by the way, if you have questions at any time, you can go ahead and post them in the chat, and the fabulous Angela is there collecting them all for me. And after I'm done the 5 tips, I will answer your questions. And now number 3. So number one, let me just remind myself here. Number 1 was kind of just sharing that it doesn't have to just be an online course. There's other formats that you can do your course in. Number 2 was talking about the difference between your book versus your course, and really how it's going to be the difference between absorption and application, but also just getting more clear on what your learning objectives might be as far as that application for the material. My third tip is to think carefully about how you're going to be selling this course and how you're going to drive demand for it. A lot of people think that if they put the course on their website, it's going to sell. And for some of the very, very big influencers, this is probably true. There's probably, and I say probably because I don't even know for sure, but there probably are people that are so excited to learn from them that they go to the website and they just buy the course. For most of us, that is not going to happen. I wish it would, right? That thought of that evergreen course just living on your website, selling while you're on the beach, while you're mountain biking, while you're skiing, whatever your fun time is. But it really, really doesn't work that way very often. Doesn't mean it won't, but I wouldn't plan for that. Instead, I would plan an approach of kind of promoting it in some capacity. And so what I mean by that is if we're sticking to this online and it's only online, so it doesn't have a start date, because boy, oh boy, does a start date work like magic. I'll tell you, with Self-Publish and Succeed Live so I didn't, because I was not able to work, I couldn't promote the course. And so we had a start date, and it was more or less, it started, I think 2 weeks or a week and a half after I was, my immigration was sorted out and I was actually able to work. So we did not promote the course. So we had, I think, a grand total of 2 people in it on the day it was supposed to start. And so we said, okay, give us a few days and we'll see if, we'll actually promote it. We'll see if we can get some more people in it. And we got some more people in it, but more than half of the people that are in the class signed up within 24 hours of the actual start date. So just to give you a sense that a start date, a cutoff, that like reason to act now or forever miss out, it is really, really powerful. And so again, that's why it's, a course, no matter how wonderful it is or cheap or whatever, just sitting on your website, it's unlikely to sell a lot on its own. So consider, that's one of the reasons why in my online courses in my past business, we still had start dates with them, and we just ran group Q&A sessions to go along with them and offered one-on-one. So there was still a start date, there was still a finish, but it was pretty hands-off for me teaching the class because a lot of it was done through the online drip of the lessons. So think about how you're going to structure it so it actually does sell. Because if you're going to all the work to build this course or build the materials and then deliver the course, I really want you to have people in the class. So while you're creating it, think about things also like the title and the description. Just like your book, you really want to think about what are you delivering. Now, with the course, we named it the same as the book, Self-Publish and Succeed. It's, I think, a reasonable title. It doesn't quite sell the fact that the goal of this course is to get you to write a book, write the first draft of your book. It doesn't have to be a good draft, but that is the goal, is get the material out of your head onto your page. So Self-Publish and Succeed, we stuck with the book title for that. But as much as possible, I'll give you the example from our probably our best-selling course. We had a couple of different courses in a mastermind group, but our best-selling course was Fund Your Deals in 49 Days. That course was really popular. It's probably the thing we became the most known for in Canada, as far as in the real estate investing circle, because this course, taught you how to get funding for your deals in 49 days. The course title has a very specific promise to it. And it, it delivered on that promise for people that followed our process and our teachings. And it's still fun. Just as a side note, it's a fun thing for me, because some of the people that are the most successful or doing incredibly well in real estate investing in Canada now, they've gone through our programs. So it's really fun for me. And I've been on, now a lot of them have podcasts and things, and I've been able to go back on those podcasts. But it was Fund Your Deals in 49 days. So think about how you're selling your course and what you're calling it, because the more you can put a promise, a deliverable, that outcome of the outcome into that title, the easier the course will be to market and sell. And then, of course, just understanding if your readers are or your audience is slightly different than your readers, because for Self-Publish and Succeed, for example, the readers are anybody who wants to write a nonfiction book that's positioned to sell and achieve their goals. The course is really geared towards people who want more support. They want some accountability. They want some guidance. They want some structure to their writing. So they are definitely not in that complete do-it-yourself category, but they're also not in the category, at least not yet, of somebody who wants to work with us in our full service, right? They're not necessarily looking for that one-on-one writing coach or that somebody to write their book for them. They want to do it themselves to a degree. So there is a slight difference in the people that would be taking the course versus necessarily reading the book, also versus using us for our full service. Also, when you think about promotion, so start date, finish date, that's one way. The other thing is to kind of consider quarterly or twice a year offers. So you can bundle this with other services, with discounts. If you have a product, you can have a bundle or a promotional offer to incent people to sign up by this promotion. I still, it can feel a little salesy to do that. But again, you really do need to give somebody a reason to sign up today, because if the course is always there, they'll always think there's tomorrow. And so if you give them a reason to move today and give them something of value when you make that offer, then that can be really powerful. So some ideas for that. You can, if you have multiple courses, you can bundle multiple courses together. If you have, audio files or other worksheets or templates, or you can offer one-on-one calls, and you can say, this is only for the first 10 people, because legit, you've only got so much time, so you can't do one-on-one calls with everybody. So those are some ideas of things that you could bundle in. You can also just do a discount. I'm not a big fan of price discounting, but with an online course, it can make sense to have an annual sale where you offer your course for, 25% off or 50% off or whatever it is for that limited time. But think about how you're going to sell it and really plan for that, because, I do hope you are one of the exceptions where the course just sells and you don't have to do anything. But most of us with our courses are going to need something to move those sales along. Okay, let's do a prize from the folks that are here. So Angela, today is the 18th of April, I believe. So why don't we go the 18th comment from when you said hello. How about that? So Angela will go ahead and count and see what we come up with. Out our space is here. Welcome. And I also see Professor E.A. Burlingame has also joined. So hello. And then is that Brian? Is Brian here? I saw you said Brian, long time. No, you're just commenting. Okay, cool. All right. So while Angela's finding our winner, I'm going to go with tip number 4. So for online course upload or recordings, there are a ton of options, and I'm not intimately familiar with all of them. I've only used a couple of them myself, but of course, Udemy is a popular marketplace. There's 150,000 plus courses on there. You can create courses and publish on a wide range of topics and set your own pricing. Of course, Udemy takes a cut, but it is an existing marketplace. So it can be good for some people to upload somewhere where there's already a marketplace. There's already people searching for courses. There's another one that's called Coursera, and it partners with universities for online courses and degrees. Again, depends on what you're teaching. It's not necessarily, I haven't seen a lot of authors turning their book into courses that then go on Coursera, but it's there if you want to offer certificates or degrees upon completion. That's learners can kind of go through and get that. Teachable is a really popular all-in-one platform. I've seen a lot of courses get offered that way. We use its Canadian cousin, competitor, if you will, Thinkific. So Thinkific is a smaller company to Teachable. That's what we build our authors courses on. So one of the services we actually offer at Book Launchers is taking a book and turning it into a course and supporting the author through, creating the modules, creating the slides, creating the sales page, creating the email marketing that goes with it. And the platform we use currently is Thinkific. I am looking at Kajabi now. They've improved from when I used Kajabi, because I did use Kajabi back in the day, and it was okay. It had some limitations and some issues, but it's, Kajabi's come a long way. So it may be in the future we'll do Thinkific and Kajabi as a choice as for our authors. But anyways, that I kind of detoured from where I was going. So Teachable, Skillshare is another. It's more for entrepreneurial topics, like kind of, or not even entrepreneurial, but like I wanted to say rideshare. Oh my gosh. Like the stuff you'd go on Upwork and learn, buy somebody on Upwork to do your graphics design, to do your marketing. And so you can publish courses there to help people with those kind of skills that they're selling. They're kind of the creative, sorry, I can't think of the word I'm trying to think of. Maybe you guys know what I'm trying to say. No, nobody's helping me out with my vocabulary yet. Okay. I'll try to, the word will probably pop into my head as soon as we hang up. Okay, so Kajabi, like I said, is another one. It's an all-in-one platform. They've added a lot of tools, a lot of integrations. They've improved a lot. So it is, I think, a strong option. But again, Thinkific is the one that we use. We love it because of a lot of things. Besides the fact that it is a smaller company, we can get really good support there. We've built good relationships with some of the people there. But it's all in one. So you can sell the course, you can build your sales page, you can customize it all. So you've got your own branding. You can have it be very professional looking. It hosts your videos. It can create quizzes, surveys. There's just lots of options, and it's really easy to use. So you don't have to know coding or anything like it. Just looking to see if I missed anything or missed anything on my list, but those were the main ones as platforms and tools. So that was kind of a tip 4 as if you're looking for options to upload and host. Most of them have a monthly or an annual fee because they're going to be hosting your material, and then they have a variety of integrations. Like if you have WordPress as a website, or some of those other things, you want to look at them and see what makes sense for you. And then some of them are going to take a bigger cut, like Teachable takes a bigger cut. Udemy takes a bigger cut because you're going to be on their marketplace versus Thinkific. I think you can post it to a marketplace, but if you're just hosting it yourself and selling it, you're not giving a cut to anybody for that, except for the service, or except for the shopping cart. If you use PayPal, you'll pay the PayPal fees, or if you use any of the other carts or systems that you like, Square or those other ones. I'm just drawing a blank on the other one. To collect the money which you want to get, then you'll be paying those fees on those things. Okay, now tip number 5 is ultimately just a reminder, if more than a tip, and that is that with your course, with your book, when you've written a nonfiction book, you really do have a lot of the material there, and there isn't a need to recreate it. People will buy your course after reading your book, and it's because of that learning objective, because it is different. And people want to apply it. They want to, if you have a really strong hook, they're now going to want to take the next step. And that is often a course or some sort of a coaching relationship, which can be that live course component. And so don't feel the need to create a bunch of new material. You really, really don't need it if you've created a really good book. You've already thought through the examples, the case studies, the ways to explain it, the steps to take. Just use that and build upon it. I've seen a lot of people who, and by the way, your book may make too big of a course. So you may have to just pluck out one piece and make that be your course. So as an example, my marketing book that's going to come out in the fall on book marketing. When we have our book marketing course, which by the way, we are doing a course, we were going to start it right around now, but we have too many other things going on, and I want to launch the book, and I delayed that as well to focus on a few other things that we're building. But inside of the book, it's a really comprehensive book covering a lot of marketing strategy. It would be a year-long course to teach everything that's in there. So what we did with the course that we're teaching is we extracted the piece where you're learning how to pitch. Because ultimately, if you don't have an existing audience, the best book marketing you can do is to pitch yourself to other people's audiences. And that can be in the form of, running ads. But for us, what we're focused on is getting yourself on podcasts, live appearances, speaking engagements, not running promotions, but learning how to do events at bookstores and libraries and, anywhere where there's your audience, it's getting you and your book in front of it. And so it's really the no audience, no problem. So that's extracting, what's probably, I don't know, a quarter, maybe a third of the material from the book, and then taking it, teaching it, and applying it so that you're learning how to pitch, you're creating a pitch, you're creating your media kit, you're creating those materials that you need in order to do that step. And so that course is something we will launch in the fall, probably shortly after I launch the book, which right now, by the way, I think we're calling Self-Promote and Succeed. Kind of fits with Self-Publish and Succeed. So that's I think what we're calling it. So now. All right. Those are my 5 tips for you, my friends. Okay. I know there's questions. I've seen them coming in. We also need to do one other prize. So Angela, if you want to give me I have to check to see who won. Oh, who won the other prize? Did we already know? Let's see. Angela, where's Angela here? Oh, there we go. Professor E.A. Burlingame won, but then she offered her prize to Bonnie, which is very kind. So thank you so much. Okay. Mindful Eats also said Udemy courses sell for much lower, which is good for mini courses. Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate adding in on those. Sam Cart, Bill, thank you. I was trying to remember. I think there's one other one that I'm trying to Stripe. There it is. Square, Stripe, and Sam Cart. Those are good ones. Thank you. Why it wouldn't come into my head when I wanted it. Okay. Let's see. Looks like, Angela's not sending me questions yet. So just thinking of your skill testing question. Okay. What was the biggest surprise tip? Ooh, and I just got really big. Let me back up here. Sorry, I didn't mean to make it feel like I was coming at you there. What is the biggest surprise tip you got from today's session? So something that maybe you weren't expecting to take away as a tip. Let's see what we've got in the chat. Okay, and now let's see. And Bill says, great book title. So that's great. I love it. And okay, I'm still waiting for questions. I'll just hang out here. Oh, Bonnie wants it. There we go. Okay, question 1. Is a course option in an app format for smartphones a thing? Yes, I believe that some of these places and some of you who are course takers probably can answer that better, but I've done courses on my phone through apps. And so there are ways to deliver it. I am not certain if Thinkific or Udemy does it. Hold on, wait a minute. I'm just going to check one thing here. Kajabi definitely does, because I have a course on my phone through Kajabi. So I know that for a fact. Because I have, I'm just holding my phone in case you guys can't see what I've got. But I was just like, there's an app on my phone that I've done courses through, and it's Kajabi. So yes. Liz says, do you do pre and post assessments for online course? You can. I don't do assessment necessarily. So an assessment, the way I'm understanding it, would be kind of testing their knowledge beforehand and then testing their knowledge after. For the purposes of the courses that I've always created, I'm not doing that. Like with Self-Publish and Succeed Live, which we're running, my goal is to help them to take the book out of their head and put it on their page. I don't really need to know where they're at, before they come in. And some people come in with an ugly, messy draft already, and then others come in, and we have one person in the class right now that started with one book idea, and now he's actually switching and trying to figure out what the new book idea is. Because that happens as you explore something and you think that's what you're going to write about, and then you start putting an outline down, you realize maybe that's not the book after all. So everybody comes in at different phases. He may not get to the objective of getting the book out of his head and onto the page by the end of the course because he has changed ideas, but a post or pre or post assessment wouldn't have done that. Now, if you're teaching something like a skill, that would be a good thing to do so that you have a sense of the level that everybody's coming in at. Like if you were teaching a class on AI, you would want to know if everybody's actually even gone into ChatGPT first, because if they haven't, then you're going to need to teach them to set that up, versus if they're, at least played in it, then you can kind of start with basic prompts, just as an example. Okay. Michael Martin, can you also go to the other way and write a book based on its offers? The thing moved. Based on the material I included in a course. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. And in fact, that's kind of what I did. I took my Fund Your Deals in 49 Days course, and then I took a lot of that material and turned it into my book called The New Brand You. Now, what I did that didn't work is I didn't gear that book towards real estate investors specifically. Had I done that, the book would have done a lot better. But I was in this transition period where we were winding down our real estate training business and, getting ready to start something new, which became Book Launchers. And I was in this kind of in-between world where I knew I was transitioning, but didn't know what I was transitioning to. But I took a lot of what I taught in Fund Your Deals, and put it into the book. And we've also worked with, I'm trying to think of some specific examples, and if I'm allowed to share them, but we've definitely helped. I can think of at least 2 books, and I don't think I have permission to share, but they started with courses, and one of them gave the course to a writer, and the writer turned it into a book. The other one, the course provided the foundational material that then became the book as well. I'm trying to think if there's any others. So yes, absolutely. I mean, any material can become a book. And the cool thing about having it be a course or a talk, so if you give a speech or you already do a 2-hour kind of workshop type thing, you've got a clear outcome, right? And probably an outcome of an outcome that's made it something that sells. You already know who the audience is, and you've got examples, and you've already thought through how to explain things. So you are further along. When you take a course and you turn it into a book, the one piece you want to be mindful of is building that relationship and that connection. Because when you focus on application, that connection piece comes out of it. And so what we found when you're taking course material and turning it into a book is you kind of add in that readability. Whereas when you're going the other way, you're kind of adding in that application step. So hopefully that makes sense. And our last question is from Professor E.A. Burlingame. Do you have any thoughts about mini courses versus a full course from your NF book? I'm not sure the NF book, but are there any advantages for either one or over the other? It really depends. And so it depends on what you're going to do with the course. And I haven't done a ton of mini courses. And there's 2 reasons for that. And, they're definitely bias reasons. So in my previous company, I had some lower cost entry points offerings. So at one point I had a membership service that was $17 a month that we raised up to $49 a month. And we had one offering at least that was like a lower cost offering under $49. And it was, I don't know if we positioned it as a course or more like a workbook with a video, kind of a mini course really. And this is where my bias is coming in. So this is totally just my personal experience, but I found I had to hire a virtual assistant to handle all of the customer service issues that arose from people who couldn't access their workbook, couldn't remember their username and password for the membership site. They wanted to cancel. They canceled the day after they paid. So they wanted a refund. And I found it to be a gigantic pain in my butt. So I did not enjoy that. versus when I sold a course for $900, $997. I had one that was $697. I had a $997, and then I had a $10,000 mastermind. And this was all, many years ago, but I found that it was not, I didn't require a separate person to do customer service for those levels. Sometimes there's issues, but a lot of the systems, you can reset the passwords and things, without having to contact a person. And, that's what usually happens. So there is, in the internet information marketing world, there is a typical funnel, which goes free something, upsell them to, or even, the free plus shipping book. So you've got the credit card, then you upsell them into a cheaper course or a cheaper something that solves the problem. And then you build that relationship and then offer them, an event or a mastermind or something higher end. That's kind of a typical thing. And they call that first payment, that tripwire, right? To trip them over, get their credit card and get them in the door. And so, yes, it's a really long answer to say, try it. Like the answer to everything is test it, because maybe it'll do really well. Maybe it's the thing that when it pops up on your website, people go, oh, it's only $29 or it's only $99 to get that. Yeah, I'll do it. You never know. I bought a book the other day from somebody's funnel, which, I do because I'm always exploring what's out there. And there was this crazy ad on Facebook for this marketer who'd written this book, which I still haven't got the book or read the book. But anyways, that's a side note. His ad was really catchy. I bought the book, and then it had an offer afterwards for audiobook, a video, which was kind of like a mini course and something else. And it was $47. So I was like, sure, let's see what happens. And so I bought that. So it can work. It just depends on your offer and what you're doing with it. So long answer, sorry, to basically say you can test it. I don't personally do it. Okay. And David is saying one of the benefits of creating a course first is the idea of creating actionable chunks that integrate the topic and make a difference to the student reader. Yeah. And that's the other thing, by the way, if you haven't built an audience in this space and you don't know for sure that your course is going to sell, then I would highly recommend building a sales page and putting the offer out there. Now, if you don't have an audience at all, you may not have anybody to offer this to, but if you have clients, if you've done any speaking, test this offer and see what the interest is before you even build an entire course. Just build the outline, build your outcome of the outcome. What's the application? What's going to be the deliverables? And just see what the interest is, because sometimes, there isn't even an interest in that particular course idea. So, all right, we need to find our, nonfiction. Thank you. See, it's hard sometimes when you're on the spot trying to decipher what these things are. Okay, cool. I still think I answered, even not knowing what NF was. I was like, NFT? No, not NFT. Okay. So best tips. Bill said his one surprise was that half the signups are less than 24 hours ahead of the start date. So magic date is a surprise. That was a good one. Thank you. Professor E.A. Burlingame's tip was to name the course clearly based on the transformation it offers. It's so easy to forget that. That's a good tip. And Liz said, your book progress itself is probably your pre and post assessment. Nice and tangible. I like that. So any other tips here that I missed, Angela? Here's Efren has one. Not so much surprise, but a great reminder was that books are for absorption and consumption versus courses are for application and action. I love that one. Okay, thank you, Mindful Eats. I wasn't the only one going, NF? What's NF? Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one. I appreciate that. Pricing. I didn't talk about pricing at all. So I can definitely touch on that in a second. I was just trying to choose a tip here. So let's see. And my biases are appreciated. So I like that. Thank you. Okay. So let's go back up. Efren, you've won a lot. So, again, as always, you choose your own adventure as far as the prizes go. But I think yours is my favorite, is that books are for absorption, consumption versus courses are for application and action. So I'm choosing Efren, and then Efren can do with that prize what he wishes. So thank you. And so, with regards to pricing, what we do when we're building a course for somebody, at book launchers, we go out and we research other courses in that space. and we see what they're going for, what their deliverables are, how it's being delivered. My own personal philosophy is if it's kind of just something that's evergreen living on your website, you're probably not going to sell it for more than $300. But my caveat to that is if there's any sort of live component that involves your time, that immediately raises the value. And so if you're running a live class, it's definitely going to be more valuable than something that just lives on your website and people can buy at any time. And so, my courses in the past were always sold with something of live value. So like I said, that could be a group Q&A class or group Q&A sessions, a one-on-one call, sometimes a one-on-one call with me and then somebody else. And then they also, there was something in there that, for those ones that had start and finish date. So I didn't sell courses after my first round for less than $647, I think was actually my one course price. And then it became $997 and then $1247. And, it was kind of from there because there was that live component. So it really depends on your space, what the offer is, what the value is in that offer. So when you're teaching somebody how to raise money to buy, property, you're teaching them how to get money that's going to lead to, $500,000, $1 million in real estate, then that has more value than if you're teaching somebody how to weave a basket for their gift giving season. I'm just making that up. But, there's going to be differences in value for that. So the outcome is going to play into it, the competition, your expertise, the time involved, the deliverables. So there's a lot of factors to play, but test it. That's also how I raised prices. And if you put something out there and nobody's buying, change the offering, change how it's packaged, change the pricing, change what whether you do add a one-on-one time or something like that too. Phew. Okay, so Liz Clark, you were nominated by Efren as the prize in his stead. So congratulations. And that's a wrap for now. I do have another call in 12 minutes. So if you guys are okay, I'm going to say sayonara so I can go drink some water and prep for my next call. But thank you so much for being here, Efren. The client only training is tomorrow. So we'll see you there. And everyone else, there is a deep dive scheduled. I don't have the date handy, but our next deep dive, if you missed the AI one, it was really well attended. We had a great turnout for it. And our May deep dive is scheduled for the 20th of May. And I'm going to be recruiting somebody, I think, on my team to do it because I think I'm going to be in Phoenix because I'm speaking in Phoenix at an event. So somebody on my team will probably be doing that deep dive session with you. So it will be extra awesome to participate in that. And we'll be back here. So that, is Saturday, May 20th, and it will be at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, as always. And we'll have the registration link soon and the topic soon for you. And then we'll see you back here in 2 weeks, same time, same place. So thank you so much for being here. And if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for being here for the replay. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.